As I've long said on this channel, not all IULs are created equal. In fact, there's many as 25 different variables you should consider when evaluating which IUL you should ultimately choose. Today I'm going to talk about 5 of the most telling signs that the IUL you're thinking about purchasing is lousy and should be avoided at all costs. For starters, why is it important that you thoroughly evaluate your IUL before entering into the arrangement? You must understand that IULs are lifetime commitments. In fact, getting an IUL is not unlike getting married. Unless you plan on keeping your IUL until death do you part, you should never enter into the arrangement to begin with. And if the IUL you're contemplating purchasing has any of the 5 pitfalls I'll be discussing on this video, you should avoid it like the plague. There's nothing more financially painful than getting 5 years into your IUL marriage and realizing you married the wrong IUL. Getting out of an IUL early in the contract can be an expensive lesson to learn. The first sign of a lousy IUL is the Comdex rating of the company who's underwriting it. The Comdex rating tells you how financially fit the carrier is relative to its peers. It's kind of like that percentile rating your kids got in school. If your kid is in the 90th percentile for math, that means he's better at math than 90% of his peers. If your life insurance carrier, conversely, is in the 40th percentile, that means that 60% of the other carriers are financially stronger. So if your carrier has a Comdex rating that's below 90%, you should probably look at other companies. After all, you need to be certain that the carrier will be in a position to honor its commitments 30 to 50 years from now at a period in your life when you most need your policy to be in force. The second sign of a lousy IUL is a bad loan provision. By way of review, loans are the means by which you can take tax-free distributions from your IUL. And while all life insurance loans are tax-free, they're not all cost-free. In fact, some policies can charge you as high as 8% for a policy loan. And guess what? If you don't pay that loan interest back at the end of the year, they subtract it from your cash value. When you take loans year after year, that loan interest begins to snowball, and you could unwittingly bankrupt your policy 10 to 20 years in advance of when you ever thought possible. Fortunately, there are some companies in the market who provide 0% loans that are guaranteed in the contract. If you aren't going to start taking loans until much later in life when you retire, you want to make sure that loan provision is guaranteed. The last thing you want to do is give a life insurance carrier 30 years to make up their mind as to whether they want to honor their loan provision. The third sign of a lousy IUL is cap rates that don't respond to the current economic environment. I'll give you an example to illustrate what I mean. If you've been following IUL cap rates over the last 15 years, you know that they were as high as 15% with some carriers back in the mid to late 2000s. But then those caps began to fall as interest rates fell to near zero for a protracted period of time. In response, some carriers dropped their caps to as low as 7 or 8%. This is understandable given the constraints of an unprecedentedly low interest rate environment. However, recently interest rates have returned to an historically normal range, and we've seen many companies whose caps have returned to 11 and 12% on in-force policies. Other companies, however, have kept cap rates on existing policies as low as 7 or 8%. This is a classic sign that the life insurance carrier isn't ultimately doing what's in the best interest of their policyholders. Before signing on the dotted line, I'd recommend you do some research on the cap rates of the carrier's existing in-force block of business. The fourth sign of a lousy IUL is non-guaranteed expenses. If your IUL contract gives the insurance company the latitude to change all of the various expenses in the contract at their leisure, trust me, at some point in the contract, they will. Once again, if you give insurance companies 30 years to make up their minds on whether they're going to raise your policy's internal expenses, then their fox is in your chicken coop. Now, there is one cost that no insurance carrier can guarantee, and that's the cost of insurance. Other than that, you should be looking for a carrier who's willing to guarantee their expenses. The fifth sign of a lousy IUL is monthly sweeps or worse. Let me explain what I mean. When you send in your premium to the insurance company, it doesn't get invested right away. It goes into an account where it earns a nominal interest rate. Well, depending on the size and strength of the IUL carrier, that money is kept in that holding account from anywhere from 1 day to 6 months before the carrier sweeps those premiums into the growth account. Well, if your money is languishing in that holding account for a protracted period of time, as long as 6 months in some cases, you're missing out on a lot of growth in the meantime. If your policy has monthly sweeps or worse, you have a lousy IUL. Insist on daily sweeps or, worst case scenario, weekly sweeps. In summary, not all IULs are created equal. If you investigate IULs in a haphazard or willy-nilly way, or even worse, you simply buy an IUL because the guy or gal across the table from you gives you the warm fuzzies, then you're really rolling the dice when it comes to your financial future. In today's video, I listed just 5 signs of a lousy IUL. If you really want to see all the attributes I recommend your IUL have before you make a lifelong commitment with real-life implications, check out my best-selling book, Look Before You Learn. Folks, in the next 10 years, I'm looking to put 100,000 Americans on the road to the 0% tax bracket. If you'd like some help getting on the road to a tax-free retirement, be sure to check out my tax-free toolkit. You can download it for free at taxfreetoolkit.com. If you're a financial professional and want to learn how to become a certified Power Zero advisor, head over to powerzero.com and opt into my free 3-part video series. By the way, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to drop them into the comment section below. I respond to every single one of them personally. And don't forget to click like, subscribe, and the bell so you never miss a video. This is David McKnight. I look forward to seeing you on the next video.